Now I can start. Embodiments of love, because that's who we are. And thank you, Swami, for pointing that out to us. Being here, and thank you, Jean and others, for inviting me. I think Jean said something very wise right at the beginning. He says, Bob's new to Swami just a week ago. You know, there's a lot of truth to that, because every day we dive into something new and find something new within us that needs to be addressed, worked on, and mainly loved. Hollywood Center is very important to me and others. 2 reasons. One, I think it's the most diverse center that we have, one of the most diverse centers we have in our region, what gives us a beautiful opportunity to really open our hearts. The second, like many, go back to the days on Willoughby when Janet and Richard Bach were there, and it wasn't even a center at that time, but it sure was a gathering point. Many of us who had come back from India, we'd go zooming and running over to Willoughby, not knowing to what to expect. But let me tell you what we found, for those of you who didn't do that, and for those of you to remember. What did you find? I remember. Both Janet and Dick and whoever was around there always welcomed those who arrived first. To them, they were very, very important. To Swami, they're very, very important, and still are. Tell me here, is there anyone that's pretty recent to Baba and recent to this center? Do you mind raising your hand if that's true? Or have you all been here for a long time and nobody especially new? I'd like to know. I mean, this is, to me, a very critical thing to talk about. And I mean that. Yes? You? You went like that?
Yes.
Are you new?
Yes.
And how long have you been coming here?
A few months.
What?
A few months.
A few months. When did you first learn about Swami?
1980.
Reb?
In 1980.
Okay, and did you go to centers? Or did you
Yes,
other centers in other areas? Good. Well, I'm sure they all welcome you to the Hollywood Center. Good. Wonderful. And another thing about Dick and Janet Bach's which I feel today is just as important as it was in 1968, where Swami announced to the world for the first time the purpose of this avatar. The purpose of God arriving in human form. In fact, it was at the Ebell, I think last year sometime, Janet Bach came with some old films. And knowing that discourse, and I've played it over and over again, because I still think it's the most important. She and Dick were there, and Charles and Faith Penn, and the room was no bigger than this. She had pictures of the room, she filmed it, Dick did. And there was just a handful of people there, and very few, well, mostly from the West, because that's the time the Swami announced to the world why he has come, and he made it very clear. Past avatars have always come to protect the righteous and do away with the bad guys. In this particular avatar, he has come for if he had to do that, he said he'd wipe us all out. That's what he said. So he has come for the purpose of transformation. And that's the message that I believe in my heart that each one of us should dive into over and over and over again. Because as you do, you're going to be happier, you'll find peace in your heart, and most important, you'll find love in your heart. And the process, as he's taught us, is reflection, reaction, and resound. If you see anything in the world, I mean anything, that's you. If you don't like what you see, that's you. If you do like what you see, that's you too. If you keep seeing things that you don't like, there's a chance. Reflection, reaction, and resound. Reaction, what are you going to do about it? Resound, that's when you absorb it and think about it. And eventually, you turn that reaction into a positive thing of nothing more than love. Before we go any further, Jean, do you mind showing that video? This is a video that we've been playing at the first Sunday. It was made after Swami passed, when he made the transition from his body, until now, when his presence is being more felt than ever before. It's shown on YouTube. Is it working?
It takes a second for it to warm up, but we need to get the light off back there. And then we'll press play here. I think the battery is dead.
This yellow robe is very important to me because that's what Krishna wore, you know, was the yellow robe. And I didn't know that for years, but the first time we went there, I immediately fell in love with Krishna, not knowing who he was until we went there in 1974.
ईश्वरं वा सुता श्रीमन् पूर्वा सन्ध्या प्रवर्तते उत्तिष्ठ सत्य साईश कर्तव्यं देवामानिकम् उत्तिष्ठ उत्तिष्ठ पर्दिश उत्तिष्ठ जगदीपते उत्तिष्ठ करुणापूर्णा लोकमङ्गलसितये चित्रावती तथा विशाल सुशान्तसूति तिष्ठन्ति सेवकजनस्तव दर्शनार्थम् आदित्य कान्तिरनुभाति समस्तलोकान् श्री सत्य साई भगवान तव सुप्रभातम् त्वन्नाम कीर्तनरतस्तव दिव्यनामा गायन्ति भक्तिरसपान प्रहृष्टचित्ता दातुं कृपा सहित दर्शन माश्रुतभ्यः श्री सत्य साई भगवान तव सुप्रभातम् श्रीपादपूजनविधिं भवदङ्घ्रिमूले कर्तुं मावोत्सुकतया प्रविशन्ति भक्ता श्री सत्य साई भगवान तव सुप्रभातम् तेषां परागतभूतस्तव दिव्यमूर्तिम् संदर्शनाभिरतिसंयत चित्तवृत्त्या वेदोक्त मन्त्रपठनेन लसन्त्यजस्त्रम् श्री सत्य साई भगवान तव सुप्रभातम् श्रुत्वा तव भूतचरित्रम् अखण्डकीर्तिम् व्याप्तादिगन्तरविशाल धरातलेऽस्मिन् जिज्ञासु लोक उपतिष्ठति च अस्मास्मिन् श्री सत्य साई भगवान तव सुप्रभातम् सीता सती समविशुद्ध रथयं वचत्ता पावं गुणा करगृहीतं सुपुष्पाहारम् Mangalam Parthivasaya Mangalam Sathya Sai
That was made after Swami's passing and was put on YouTube. And someone sent it to me, and I traced it down to someone in Prasantamiliam who had made it. And it's free for all. We make copies, and whoever wants them, you're welcome to have them at the book center. Because to me, the message came very clear. After his passing, he has said over and over again, if you remember, I walked amongst you, I've taught you, I've written books for you, I've told you to practice my teachings. Then he said, one day will come when you won't see me anymore. And that day is now. And at that time he said, I've given you what you wanted, I've taught you what you wanted. My expectations are that you be what I've taught you, no more practice. At the same time, he wants us to be happy and joyful. Remember, he loves us all. There is no difference to Swami. High, low, bottom, up, those are all in our mind. He loves everyone. To him, when we make mistakes in life, they're just mistakes. We've created the word sin. We've created the word guilt. There is no such thing. God never says that about us. It's nothing but love. I can see in all of you, this is a very loving group, and that's great. And I'm hoping that you will dive deep within yourself and just go within and decide which teachings that you feel that you could be the example out in the world, because that's all there is to it. Big service projects, they're nice. Simple ones are better. If you wake up in the morning and someone is not feeling good and you say, good morning, I love you, that's just as good as getting out there and doing a huge service project. Probably even better. Probably even better. We get caught up in how big we do things. Swami never started on big things. He started on little things. He started singing bhajans, walking in the Buddha party. He started just helping people. That's the lessons. Every single moment, it's a moment of love. There's nothing else to learn but how to love. We are the embodiments of love. I'm the embodiment of love. Just recently I found out a little bit more about this video. It's even more dear to me. I sent it off to a center in Boulder, Colorado, and they played it, and the center president called me up and said, do you know where it came from as far as the words? And I said, no. I said, I know it all came from Prasantamiliam is on the YouTube. But then she did the research, and lo and behold, these words first came to Charles Penn, who was at the First World Conference and Faith. He wrote a book, which were words from Swami. Interesting enough that we have because he and Elsie spent a lot of time together, we have the notes, and there's a bunch of letters that Swami sent to him direct, and they're really cute, because they're exactly what he's told other people afterwards. Start the organization, be in love. The same words over and over again. He was the first. I didn't know that till recently. Well, a while back. But my story is kind of simple in relation to the transformation. My wife Barbara was the one, and many women are the guides to take us to Prasanthi Nilayam, and I didn't want to go. And it's a long story, I don't want to get that way, because I want to build to what it is today. It's more important that we talk about today, not yesterday. Because newcomers that come to see Swami or know of Swami, they're going to be interested in your stories, not my stories of 74 and 75. They're going to be in your stories. What are you going to tell them about your transformation? What are you going to share in your own heart about your transformation? What teachings have been dear to you, and which ones have you dove into to help change the world? All the masters have said, you want the world to change, change yourself. Quit messing around with telling other people. Just quit. None of your business. I've heard Swami say that. Leave the world to me. None of your business. What are you doing to improve yourself? What are you doing? So that's the key. I kid because when the first organization was made in 1975 with Hislop and those, the first official one in the USA, there was a few of us were appointed. And I knew what I was going to do. I was going to straighten up all the centers in 90 days. Minimum 90 days. Maximum 90 days. And the first retreats were here. Janet and Dick formed them. The pens would show up. I got so frustrated with the pens. They frustrated too much because all they would do is talk about love. Just so boring. All they did was talk about love. They'd meditate a little bit in the morning, like we did here. Then they'd come and gather people around, those who wanted, and talk about love. Not me. I'd stay 5 minutes and leave. That's not what I'm about. I want to go to work. But I'm going to go to work my way. So on our first trip, we were fortunate. I needed a lot of ego crashing, so I had a lot of grace with Swami on ego crashing. He did speak to us, and his first words to me were, duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love is desirable. Love without duty is divine. And that's been my path. And I could share with you for hours how this path has been, because every one of us are here in life to learn, to learn, to learn. This is a school. At the same time, Swami wants us to be happy. So I've been through the guilt trip. I've been through all that stuff, which is, you have to do it, but it's really not necessary. Jump. Make the big jump. Now we can. Believe me, now we can. There's confusion. Swami left his body. Sure, it's natural. The boss left. What do I do now? Plenty. I feel that Swami had to hold himself in that body so long, like that, waiting to just burst in love, and when he left, pow! It's all over the place. It really is. It's just pouring and pouring and pouring. There's so much, we get confused. But he's pouring it on you, he's pouring it on you, he's pouring it on you. Everyone in the universe. It's either up to us, you take it or you don't. That's individual choice. Why? I don't know. But that's the key. Right now. Forget what other people say. Forget about all this confusion. What does your heart say about Swami? Your heart. Your love for him. Your love for him should transform in your love for me and my love for you and whoever you see in the street. When you see something you don't like, throw it out of your mind. Just turn it around to love. Just love it, just like that. And you got to learn to say the word. Oh, I can't say love. Yes, you can. Just say it. If you can't say it to them, say it silently. I love you. Some guy cut you in front. I love you. I'm serious. By that, I'm smiling at the same time. I want you to know that. Because, first of all, You know, we know it's easy to love those that love us, but that's not love. Divine love is loving those that don't love you, you think. But you know, the power of love, there's nothing more powerful than the power of love. When you give love, you'll get love in return, one way or the other. If you don't give love, you ain't going to get love. If you're waiting someone else to give you love, forget about it. Just forget about it. And you're just going to get more miserable and more miserable and more powerful about what you think is right. And Swami has taught us in his teachings and everything, in reaction, reflection, reaction, control the tongue. I used to get very angry, I'd lash out. And first you begin to teach and dive in the books of like John Goldwith wrote, Purifying the Heart, all about Swami's teachings. First you control the tongue. Okay, I did pretty good at that. And then the mind goes too good. Yeah, I'll look on saying something that the person before you said something. That's the toughie. But you know what? There's another secret. Don't be scared to ask Swami for help. Don't be scared. It's not a secret, but God tells us take one step towards Him, He'll take 100 towards you, and that's true. But sadly, and I mean this sadly from my heart, so few do that. And I know why, because it's scary. It's scary when you see something you know is in you. You're scared of it, and you're scared to ask Swami, help me through this. It's scary, for the simple reason is, there's three things about God that we learn: trust, surrender, and acceptance. And I'm sure if we all went through here, we would say, do you trust Swami or God? Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you surrender to Him? Oh, sure, I surrender to God all the time. Now tell me, will you accept what He's going to give you immediately? Invariably, everybody gets silence. Well, I want to talk about that first before you. I want to know what He's going to give me before that. Surrender, trust, and accept. It's not that easy. The last one is not so easy. Because the tendency, yeah, I think I will, but I want to know about it first. That's not accepting. Be in the moment, and whatever happens, happens. As Swami says, whatever happened to us is good for us. That's a good mantra. Never the whys, the whats, and the what's for. Whatever happens is good for us. He never hurts, and He'll never give you more than what you can take. It gets spooky at times. But now, believe me, it's all past. You can get it so quickly now. So quickly. So quickly. Just ask Him. He'll give it to you immediately. His love is so all over the place. I will share this experience with you in relation to His passing, which is very dear to me, and I hope it will help you. It was one of the miracles that happened towards me before He passed. We know He was sick. I had no idea, or one way or the other, that He would die or not die, or leave His body, because we all thought that's not going to happen right now. He's good. He sure got the whole world upside down when He left, because He knows the right time. And a book was given to me, which were the discourses which I'd read before on the Gita that he had done in 1983, I think. And I was on the bedstand was this book. And I generally like to read a little bit at night, and a little bit in the morning when I can, of something from Swami's teachings. And I just finished the book I was reading the night before. So this book was there. I'd been there a couple nights. So this was Saturday morning, 13 hours before he passed. So I pick up the book, and there's a marker in it. Note those coincidences, how they love. It was chapter 3. So I opened it up like that, and I said, oh, it's there, what the heck, I'll just start reading it. It wasn't my book, but it was there. This chapter was about devotion. Devotion to the form, and devotion after the form leaves. Beautiful chapter. Very simple. You know how Swami's teachings are. We complicate them because he makes us dive into them to figure out what he says. Because a good teacher makes you dive in. He just tells you what it is, but if you absorb it and dive into it, you're going to grasp it. He said that we are in our body consciousness, which we know, and in order for the body to recognize the divine, whether it be a guru, a master, Jesus, whoever, they'll come in the body first, which is a very natural thing because we relate to a body. So we need a body in the body consciousness. But then, as you know, the teachings are that we should rise above our body consciousness. That's a separate subject, though. But when he leaves, when the master leaves, how we're devoted to him is very simple, but quite different. Swami gave the example, which we all do and still do, when Swami is, we would love to give him a flower. You know, it's a sign of devotion, and you wanted to give it in the altar, and they used to be able to give it personally to Swami until the crowd swell. And then he went on to say how to be devoted to the formless. And he says, a flower is our symbolic thing to Swami to show our love. But then he went on to say that a flower is also formless. And he used the analogy like this in this chapter. He says, you take a chair. If you look up in the dictionary before you've seen a chair, it'll describe what a chair is. So when you see the chair, you know what a chair is. So he says, that's the proof that a chair is formless too. Same with a flower. If you've never seen a flower and someone described it to you, then you see it. The flower is also formless. So, when your devoted one, in any form, Jesus, Buddha, doesn't matter, leaves the body, our devotion to him should be the flower in the formless, the flower of the formless. Then he went on to describe what is the flower in the formless. That's the beauty of it. We give him love and truth, love and right action, love and nonviolence, love and peace, because everything is wrapped around love. None of those are proper unless they're wrapped around love. Now, isn't that beautiful? You just dwell on that for a while, meditate on it, it'll come to you. It'll help you realize how to go out in the world every single day. And any of those 5 values, just wrap them around with love. We make the mistake, we want to teach love and peace separately. You can't do it properly, because they have to all be wrapped up. That's the flower of devotion that Swami wants us to give him now. Now. That's the chance we have now, is to truly open our heart to everything. Have the faith. Love who you are. You can't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. Oh boy, I just learned that one last year. Many of you might know that several years ago I started saying it first Sunday every now and then to people, embodiment of love, embodiment of love, embodiment of love. In fact, the first time I chose to do it, I went down about 3, maybe 4 years ago. I was invited to talk at this center in Encinitas. And I chose that day to tell the story about the pens before I went. And lo and behold, in the audience was Faith Penn. And naturally that was a beautiful thing for me, to basically what I did to her was apologize. And say I'm sorry. I did it in how I talked. You see, there's another thing. We see people in the world who we think have been mean to us. Remember this, in this particular time of the Kali Yuga, we're all attainted. If someone was mean to you, maybe somewhere along the line you were mean to somebody else. That's a toughie, isn't it? But it's true. Doesn't mean this lifetime. That's just an instrument out there. So, wherever you find somebody that you're uncomfortable with, or you say is not nice, a friend, even a parent, turn it around. Love them who they are. And you might even have to tell them, I'm sorry, Mom, Dad, how I've created so much trouble in your life. I'm sorry. Love is all powerful. Whether or not they apologize to you is irrelevant. I've done it. I know that. It works. I've gone to somebody's tomb and just apologized and cried and hurt because these people were really good to me. They didn't know any better, who I thought were mean, but they weren't. And I cried. I opened up because Swami taught me to do that. Don't be scared. Love is a beautiful weapon. It's the most beautiful weapon there is. You'll never lose. And that's the message of today. Yesterday's stories of all my learning, all of what I went through and all the ups and downs, they're meaningless. Because the lesson of today, since he's gone, is the opportunity to do nothing else but love. And that, I speak, is true. I have a suggestion which came to me. The tendency is, and it's wonderful, I don't question it. Well, let's get Bob up here, let's get these guys up here, they're traveling through, they've been with Swami, blah, 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 they have a lot of stories to tell. And they do, and I do too. But each one of you do too. I'm throwing this out, it just came to me as I was sitting over there. I wonder if it would be more beneficial in today for those who would really step up to the plate and share once your own transformation from the heart. Not the stories, not that they did this and I did it. I mean, you got to dive deep. You have to open up. You got to admit to yourself what your transformation is. It's very important. Because if you don't, you're not going to know how to love. And divine love is very simple. It's just loving anything exactly the way it is, with no judgment. I have some cute stories on that. And Swami, it took me a long time. But at each step I was stuck, I asked him, sometimes more than once, because he wants to be sure it comes from your heart. It's worth the effort. And he will never hurt you. God doesn't know how to hurt. We hurt ourselves, but he doesn't know how to hurt. He doesn't know how. Love doesn't know how. Love doesn't know how to hurt. You have a service project coming up. You have a medical camp coming up. Do what Mother Teresa says. Mother Teresa never just went out there and gave food. Swami doesn't do that in Grand Seva. He gives it heart to heart. Mother Teresa said she was so successful. She didn't say that, but she was successful because she was healing the Christ within. Quote. She also said once, as I was struggling through a period of, different, Swami has different ways to have things to come to you to be aware of and dive into. Mother Teresa was asked, during the Vietnam War when we were so active against the war. And they would have asked her if she would march against the war, and she said no. And that took everybody aback. She said no. But then she sweetly said, I will march for peace. Now I had to dive into that one. What's the difference? Is there a difference? I march against the war. What's the difference than marching against peace? Then after diving into a teaching, asking God, what does that mean? It's very easy. The answer came and you go, yeah, boy, is that true. Our mind creates. If you're against something, this is a law of physics. If you're against something, there's going to be an equal thing against that. So if you're against war, you are creating war. Hard to believe, but it's true. That's a law of physics. Every pressure has an equal pressure. If you're creating peace, peace goes that way. Who can fight peace? Verbally. But if you're giving peace, just take a moment. Anything you're against, you're creating the opposite. So just be loving, the power of love. Recently it came to me that a power of light, and you're all points of light. This center is beautiful, I can really see it. You're peaceful and you're quiet. You're going through your little thing, but we all do. A point of light, a point of love. You know, I used to think in common sense, well, if I love and there's something, maybe it's going to take out something else, but no. A point of life has more power than you have. Anybody understands of getting rid of negativity. One point of light. One point of love of Swami's devotees. And one other thing I will say. The tendency is us guys who have been up in the veranda, we're something special. Yeah, right. We're the biggest egos that need to be crashed over and over again, and that's the truth. Remember this, for all of us. This is an organization created by Swami. And what's the purpose? I've said it, I've read it. Very simple, Swami's words, quotes. Sathya Sai speaks or discourses. The Sai organization was created to foster love and for us to learn how to love for no other reason. He also has said, you're not going to be known how much service you've done, how much charity you've done, how much niceties you've done. He says, we're going to be known when we go to the next step is how much love did we leave behind? How much love did we leave behind? So don't get all caught up in all this great work that you're doing and how goody-goody two-years you are. And if you're ignoring somebody down the street with bad manners, you've lost all that good work. Manners is a very good, important part of love. Treating people equally is a very good, important part of love. Not something that I'm up here sitting on this deal, I'm very important, right? That puts you right at the bottom of the list again. I've had my ego pushed out by Swami so many times. I'm lucky. And everybody in that veranda, we're up there because we're the toughest cookies to learn. Not because we're so great. That's the truth. Some realize it and some don't. That's not my business. It's hard to believe. But if Satan's sages there, they're probably way in the back and they might have come once and they leave. They don't have to go back there. What for? Makes sense, doesn't it? Swami's gathered our good karma. Don't forget that. You did a lot of good things in past lives to be in this chance. To be in this chance. It's another chance to be what he wants us to be. We've all earned it. Don't lose it. I love you, and that's the truth. So with that, I will say, Jai Sai Ram.
Can I ask a question? What book was the book that you read by your friend? Was it the Gita Vahini?
The Gita book, the one I said,
Yeah.
it was the discourses, it's a book just strictly on the Gita discourses that he gave in 83 or 84. It's about this size. And it's only those discourses, it's not the Gita Vahini. As you know, the Vahinis were written by Swami. I will say this from the sadness of my heart, and the same with the bookstore in Prasanthi Nilayam. They don't sell too well. Neither do Sathya Sai Speaks. And I can go around and ask how many, I don't even bother anymore, how many people have bothered to read the Vahinis. It's negligible. Every truth you need to know in the universe, in the world, is in the Vahinis and Sathya Sai Speaks. Everything you need to know is there. The other books are nice and they're good stories. But that's where the truth is. But they don't sell. They just sit there on the shelf. We want the videos, we want the parades, we want all that stuff. It's like going to the movies.
So is it possible to find that book or...
Pardon?
Is it possible to find that the discourses on the Gita or...
Sure, we have them at the book center. It's in 2 volumes. It's in
What's it called?
volume 1 and volume 2. And I think it's...
Discourses on the Gita.
Pardon?
They're called discourses
On the Gita. Volume 1 and volume 2. Jean, do you mind showing this last video? Sure. It's shorter. And the reason I like showing this one after, this is Linda Gallagher who sings. And your singing is beautiful here, by the way. I really enjoyed it. It is so much different. Again, the diversity of voices, and it was lovely. Thanks. Thank you, all of you. And Linda Gallagher is up there in the center of freedom, and it's a beautiful place. And after the passing of Swami, she wrote this song and played it and put it on YouTube again. And again, it's available because I think this is the message.
Seeing God in my dear old cat, hearing the sound in a single-handed clap, glimpsing the light in a fallen leaf, sensing its presence in the midst of my grief, feeling the one in the smile of a child, seeing its love flowing gentle and mild, praising God in all that I do, knowing the truth that it's in me and you. See God in each other, in a friend and enemy, a brother. See God in all its wonder, see God living as you. Feeling the one always close at hand, grasping a thought that God is who I am, touching the hearts of everyone I see, looking inside, being home with me, catching a song that's coming from within, giving up lies based on fear and sin, seeking to know that which sets us free, releasing it all and coming back to be. See God in each other, in a friend and enemy, a brother. See God in all its wonder, see God living as you. moving through the crowd, revealing the light as he dispels the cloud, embracing his love as it captivates my soul, receiving the faith that I